Hi guys. One of the databases that we're going to be using this quarter to practice our Transact SQL development statements is called Pubs, and I want everybody in class to be able to have their own copy of Pubs. So I'm going to show you how to run a SQL script that is on the network that is called Instpubs, and it will create and load the Pubs database schema and tables for you so that you can have that database to practice with. You're going to want to recreate that database probably several times this quarter, and this is a very handy little script that will recreate that database. It will actually drop it for you first and then recreate it and load it again. So here's what I'm going to do. On the network, and I'm on my laptop, so I don't have access to our local area network, but on the local area network under Student Read, under SQL Server, and I believe it's under sample code, there's a file called Instpubs2014. I'm going to go ahead and click on the File menu and say Open, File. And so what I'm assuming is that you're going to take that Instpubs file and make a copy of it for yourself on your USB drive. So what I've done is pretty much that. I've copied that file to my local drive, and see I have it in a directory called SQL Server stuff here. And I'm just going to click it. It's called Instpubs 2014. And I'm going to say Open. When you do that, you see that you get this file in your code window, and it's really all Transact SQL statements. You'll notice there's a create database statement here, which creates the default with all the default options and all the default properties, whatever database you specify after the create database. And then if we move down, we can see that we've got create table statements with fields and constraints. We'll be talking a lot about this later. And then if we move down even farther, it creates all the tables. And we have insert statements that actually load the data into each one of the tables. So this script pretty much does it all. It even looks for the Pubs database on your SQL Server, and it deletes it if it already exists and then recreates it again. Now the deal here is that we do not want your database to be called Pubs because that's kind of a generic name, and that's not going to indicate to anyone else on this SQL Server that it's just your database. So what we want to do is have this script create a database that is a name that is unique to you. So what I would have you do is select, find that create database statement. It's just a little bit farther down in the script. So if I go to the top and I scroll down, probably about a fourth of the way down. So create database. I'm going to double click the word Pubs, and I'm going to go up to my edit menu, find and replace, and I'm going to go to quick replace because I want to replace every instance of Pubs with something else. And so down here, I'm going to create a database called Pubs Parent Fall 2014. Now remember, database names don't have spaces in them, so if you want to separate words, you can use an underscore, or you can use upper lowercase like I have. And just make sure you don't start the database name with a special character, but it can be anything that you wish. Just make sure that it's Pubs, something that makes it unique to you. What we now want to do is we want to replace all the instances of Pubs in this script with Pubs Karen Fall 2014. So I'm just going to click the Replace All button. And when I do that, we get 637 occurrences, and that's just about right. So I'm going to say OK. And I'll close this window. And you can see that now I'm going to create database Pubs Karen Fall 2014, and all of the instances of Pubs have been replaced. The next order of business then is to execute this script. And remember in the code window that if you've highlighted a line of code and you click the execute, that it will only execute the highlighted code. If you are not highlighting anything in the window and you click execute, it will execute the code from the top to the bottom, which is exactly what we want to happen in this script because that's the way it's written. So I'm going to click execute. and I should get black writing. And it tells me it's creating the tables, and it gives me messages that it's created indexes and views and stored procedures and so forth. And so that's just great. So now if I go over to my databases in Management Studio over here in the Object Explorer, I'm going to right click and refresh my view of my databases. And sure enough, there's my Pubs Karen Fall 2014 database. And if I drill down and on the tables, and I right click on any of these tables, I'm going to say select top 1,000 rows. You can see it actually writes a little select statement for me here. And then I can see the contents of the table here in the results window. And you can go ahead and do that for all of the tables, just to prove to yourself that there is data. I'm going to do the authors table here. That there's data in all of the tables. So it's as simple as that. Now, from this point on, if you need to recreate the Pubs database, and later we will have to do that when we're doing inserting, updating, and deleting, we'll be decimating the contents and you'll have to recreate it again. What you want to make sure that you do is you close all the windows, because every one of these windows is actually a connection to the database. So we want to make sure we close all the connections to the database, close all the windows. And actually, if you're going to run my battery's getting low, darn it, you're going to want to probably close SQL Server, open it again, and then just follow the same process that we followed just a moment ago. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this version of Instpubs with Pubs Karen Fall 2014. I have this stored on my local drive, so I'm just going to say save. And now this file, if I open it from the same location every time, it's already going to have the name of my desired database in it. So all I have to do is open it and run it. All right, that's the way we do it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me.